UPK shit, man. One West. Hey. I'm a UPK nigga, I'm stuck in my ways. That's on them, letting cowards fill up they ranks. Goddamn, lost tribes got them following waves. Loyalty a lifestyle, nigga, I'm just saying. Yeah, I'm a saint, no New Orleans, it's going up. Next spot, we at the B&B. I'm turned up, I pull up in the SRT. Burning rubber, hey, UPK shit. Look, met her at the club, told her pull up to the lobby. She know I'm in the coat, we're all black, no Illuminati. This my other half shit, I can't move without it. These my motherfucking brothers, yeah, what I'm gonna do without them, yeah. If it's beef, I can't wait to sink my teeth in. Niggas going overboard, they off the deep end. Why you tripping off that hoe? That's some weak shit. Told him put me in the game cause I love defense. Yeah, put me in the game, coach. Fuck you thought, he let his colors fly. He ain't cut, we cut him off. Yeah, bounce out, let my fringes swing. Yeah, I'm a dog, and she say she find me interesting. Yeah, want me to call, put me in the game, coach. Fuck you thought, he let his colors fly. He ain't cut, we cut him off. Hey, bounce out, let my fringes swing. Yeah, I'm a dog, and she say she find me interesting. Yeah, want me to call, I ain't gotta settle, I got options, ma. No, I stand on business, my name not Tazar. I'll pop you with this pocket rock. Feed a nigga shells like a taco truck. Hey, this bitch got sound effects, it go pew pew pew. I ain't tripping, I'm no drink, got bottles in a room. I'm in Durham, North Carolina, bitch, it's 12 a.m. Look at them, they ain't none of us and we ain't them. I told him put me in the game, coach. Fuck you thought, he let his colors fly. He ain't cut, we cut him off. Hey, bounce out, let my fringes swing. Yeah, I'm a dog, she say she find me interesting. Yeah, want me to call, put me in the game, coach. Fuck you thought, he let his colors fly. He ain't cut, we cut him off. Hey, bounce out, let my fringes swing. Yeah, I'm a dog, she say she find me interesting. Want me to call, yeah. UPK shit, man, you already know what it is. It's the 55th annual Passover, man, turn up. We gonna do this shit the UPK way, not the other way. You hear me? Yeah.
Hey, shalom, Israel. You live with the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Priest and Captain Soccer will hold down the class live from Memphis, Tennessee. Every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we have classes here in Memphis from 6 to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. All you brothers and sisters tuning in, if you got family, loved ones, people you care about in the Memphis, Tennessee, and surrounding areas, get them in contact with the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Since 1969, we've been teaching so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians the truth according to the Bible. What is the truth? The truth is that so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians descend from the greatest people that have ever walked the face of the earth. The Bible identifies us as the lost 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. And in the year 2026, there's nothing more important than for God's chosen people to learn the truth of who we are, where we come from, and what our purpose is on this earth. So what we like to do with these classes is give brothers and sisters an opportunity to go into this book called the Bible, to regain and to learn the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that the Most High is placed inside of this book so that we can come back to being the people the Most High called us to be and reclaim our righteous place on the earth as kings, priests, princesses, and daughters of Zion. With that being said, we'd like to start the class off with questions. If any brothers and sisters online have questions, type them in. If any brothers and sisters in the room have questions, raise your hand. And if there are no questions, we're going to go into the topic of tonight's class, which you see on the screen, is Esau and America. All right, Esau and America. The topic of tonight's class comes from, just a never-ending stream of current events that are reaffirming and manifesting prophecies that were recorded in this book called the Bible thousands of years ago. Being Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian, or being just raised in the westernized culture, so much of what we were taught in religion made the Bible seem as though it was just a book that was full of feel-good stories, metaphors and allegories, and wisdom that you can live by and learn from. It wasn't until the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge actually went into the history and the records of the Bible and was given the wisdom and the knowledge from the Lord to be able to understand the prophecies of this book and how it applies to the lives that we're living today and how it applies to the history of our people in this land called America, that we really were able to start to understand the purpose of the Bible, and that it's not just a book of feel-good stories and allegories and metaphors, but it's actually the record of the history of a people on this earth and their dealings with the Most High God, the creator of all things. And when you understand the Bible from that context and that perspective, the laws in the Bible, the instructions that were given to God's people, the warnings and the punishment that God said would fall on his people, the prophecies concerning other nations outside of God's people that's in this book, it really can make sense of this world that we're living in today. And it's one thing, man, having been in the truth for some time, that I desperately wish could be extended to other people that's on this planet, is the knowledge that, man, God recorded everything about all peoples and all cultures and all religions inside of this book. You know what I'm saying? It's like there is no greater wisdom and understanding and knowledge on this earth than what is recorded in this Bible. But the thing about unlocking that wisdom and that knowledge that's in this book is you have to be two things. You have to be of the family of the children that this book was given to. From Genesis to Revelation, the Bible is a book that was written for God's people, the 12 tribes of Israel. So in order to understand this book, you have to be from among those people. But also you have to be taught and trained and raised by men who have been taught and trained and raised by men with whom the Spirit of the Most High has dwelt, meaning the Most High has given them the knowledge and the understanding and the right path of knowing how to put these scriptures together. The Bible is like a puzzle book. It's a mystery. You understand? And I always use this metaphor. Reading the Bible and becoming a man or a woman of God is like trying to pick up a brain surgeon's manual and becoming a brain surgeon. Meaning it's a book that is there that has all the information and all of the terminologies and all of the book knowledge that you need in order to be a brain surgeon. But until you study under a surgeon, until you go through, your clinicals and your trials and go through schooling to be taught to understand the basics and the fundamentals of how to, deal with the body and how to make a proper cut and how to do a suture and how to sterilize, an area and how to deal with the different things that can come up in a surgery, you're not going to be approved, or licensed to be able to be a surgeon. Just because you read a book does not qualify you to belong to the profession of which the book applies. And the Bible is a book that applies to righteous men and women, leaders and priests and prophets and kings that the Lord has put on this earth to lead his people and to demonstrate to the earth what a righteous man or woman of God looks like. And just reading the book is not enough. You have to study and you have to be taught and you have to, be led and instructed by the men of God who have already done the works necessary to gain the certification to be able to teach this book. And that's why I thank the Most High for the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge under Commander General Yohana. It wasn't until I read this book front and back. I knew verses, I knew scriptures. I had a grasp and an understanding of the words that were written, but it wasn't until I came into the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge that I was really able to understand how these words apply to our lives and how it was meant to guide every thought and every decision and everything that you do in your life, and that it's not just the words recorded in the book, but it's also the men that the Lord has put on this earth to lead and guide those of us who are striving for righteousness. And so in this day and time, with everything that's going on in the world, the answers and the keys to understanding the times that we're living in is right here in this book called the Bible. But unless you've been taught, unless you've, dedicated your life to serving under the men who the Lord gave the knowledge and the understanding of how to live according to this word and understand it, unless you've, dedicated yourself to belonging to that priesthood and to that, class of of men under the righteousness of the Most High, you're not going to be able to understand it. You know what I'm saying? And so when we open up this Bible today, like I said, the topic of tonight's class is Esau and America. When you open up the Bible and you read about Esau, and you read about the prophecies concerning Esau and all the things that the Lord, the blessing that was given to Esau, and the way that Esau lived his life, and the things that were said about Esau and why God hated him, it is exactly what is being manifested today in America. With everything going on with Donald Trump, with the dissolving of foreign relations with NATO and these other countries, with the invasion of Venezuela and the capture of their leader, with the threats about Greenland and taking over Greenland and taking over Canada, the spirit of Esau is being shown to the entire earth through the actions of America. And what's not funny, but what's ironic is that the same things that that Donald Trump is being demonized for demonstrating in America today are the same things that were demonstrated against God's people. And it was okay when they were things that were happening to God's people. But now that it's happening to everybody across the earth, and now that it's blatant and obvious for everybody to see, now everyone wants to be in an uproar. Now the earth wants to have a problem with America and the way that it's moving, when America has not changed at all. America today is what America has always been. And the treatment that America is delivering to the world is the treatment that it has always had towards God's people. And now that the earth can understand why America is an evil place, the prophecies in this Bible can continue to be fulfilled concerning the destruction and the fall of Esau's kingdom and empire, which is here in America. All right, so that's what we're going to go into tonight. I don't see any questions online, so we're going to go ahead and get straight into it. All right. Now, what is the spirit of Esau? Who was Esau? You go into Genesis 25th chapter, you can read about Esau's birth. Esau was the firstborn son of Isaac. You understand? Isaac was the son of Abraham. And the promise that God made with Abraham was one day his children would rule the earth. And God made that promise with Abraham, and that promise from Abraham passed on to his son named Isaac. And Isaac carried that promise that was given to his father, that one day his children would rule the earth. And Isaac, his wife Rebekah, gave birth to twins. And when Rebekah was pregnant with those twins, the Lord told Rebekah, you were going to have twins. And the children that are the reason why your pregnancy is so painful is because the children are fighting inside of your womb. And these two children that are going to come out of you, they are going to be the fathers of two nations. You understand? And they are not going to be anything alike one another. And the older is going to serve the younger. This is the prophecy that God gave to Rebekah, who was pregnant with Isaac's twins. And sure enough, when Rebekah came to deliver her children, the first came out red and hairy all over. That's Genesis chapter 25 and 25. And they called his name Esau. And the second one came out holding his heel. And they named that baby Jacob. You understand? So Esau is the firstborn son of Isaac who had twins. The second-born son was Jacob. And throughout the process of time, those two children grew and became men. All of this, I'm paraphrasing Genesis, the 25th chapter right now, concerning the birth of Esau and Jacob, concerning Esau being prophesied to serve Jacob, and concerning Jacob and Esau growing up and becoming the people that the Lord prophesied that they would be. You understand? So toward the end of Genesis 25th chapter, let's go ahead and pull it. As Esau and Jacob become men, let's see what the Bible says. Well, let's see what the Bible says about these two boys. This is Genesis chapter 25, verse 25, all right? Genesis chapter 25, verse 25. Bear with me, y'all. Hold on. Esau, America, all right? So this is Genesis chapter 25, verse 27. It says, and the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, And Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. You understand the spirit of Esau? Esau was born to hunt. Esau was born to, to be a hunter requires more than just the ability to kill. I don't know if any of you out there have ever hunted before, right? If you ever grew up with a father or uncles, or was groomed about someone who was a hunter. Hunting requires more than just the ability to kill. In order to hunt, you have to be able to study your prey. You have to take time to learn and understand how your prey moves. You have to study and understand where the prey likes to eat, when the prey is the most vulnerable, when the prey comes out and is easily accessible. You have to know where the prey sleeps. You have to know the anatomy of your prey. You have to know what's their strong points, what's their weak points. You have to know, if I corner the prey, is it going to attack me and lash out, or is it just going to accept defeat and give up? Being a hunter requires more than just the ability to kill. And when the Bible says that Esau was a cunning hunter, Esau is a man that studies everything. And you look at America today, the greatest skill that America has over all the other nations on the earth is the skill to be able to study and analyze and critique and to poke and to prod and to know what buttons to push in order to be able to, be in the position to kill. You understand? And this spirit that this cunning hunter that Esau was is manifested today in Esau's descendants, who are the Caucasians of the earth. You understand? The Caucasians of the earth today are the descendants of Esau. And the same way that Esau was a cunning hunter and that he studied and was in the field and was constantly hunting and trying to capture new prey and trying to, find new trophies to hang on his wall, that has been the spirit of the white man since his rise to power in the earth. You go back to the days, go back to the days of the Macedonian Empire, when the white man that we know today first emerged out of the caves. They were brought into the armies of Philip the Macedonian, but they brought into the armies of the Macedonians up there in Greece. And Philip the Macedonian, who was the father of Alexander the Great, was the first Edomite ruler in modern times. And part of them being a cunning hunter is the gift that they were blessed with, which we're going to read next, that was given to Esau from his father Isaac. All right. So this is Genesis 25 and 27 one more time, speaking about Esau and Jacob as they grew from boys into men. It says, and the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. Everybody understands. Jacob was not a man that was out in the field hunting. Jacob wasn't a man that was concerning himself with the prey and how to trap and how to kill and how to, understand all the nuances and the intricacies of killing and conquering something. Everybody understands. So let's drop that. Let's go to Genesis chapter 27, all right? And this goes the curse that the blessing that Isaac gave to Esau coincides with Esau being a cunning hunter. And it is a gift and a blessing that has allowed Esau today to be the preeminent force on this earth. You understand? The blessing that was given to Esau in the Bible explains the Caucasian domination of the earth since the days of Philip the Macedonian in Greece in the year around the year 300 BC. You understand? So let's get it. This is Genesis chapter 27 and verse 38. All right. So Genesis 27 and verse 38. It says, and Esau said unto his father, hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. All right. Why was Esau crying? Esau was crying because Esau did not get the blessing that was given to Jacob, which was the blessing of Abraham that God gave to him. You understand? The blessing that was given, the blessing that was given to Jacob is that one day you and your children's children are going to rule the earth. You're going to be the children of the chosen people of God. And if you serve the Most High and obey him, you are going to rule and have power, and all nations will bow down to you. That is the blessing that Esau wanted. But why didn't Esau get that blessing? Why wasn't Esau deserving of that blessing? Because Esau had sold his birthright to Jacob years earlier when they were children. And to help fulfill the prophecy that was given to Rebekah while she had the twins in her womb, Rebekah assisted Jacob in making sure that he got the blessing of the firstborn from his father Isaac. And Esau, knowing that he had sold his birthright, knowing that he was not entitled to a blessing from his father, still cried and pleaded and tried to manipulate his father. And again, if you are in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge and you come out of the Christian church and you read the story of Jacob and Esau, they make Jacob seem as though he was a slimy, greasy guy for getting the blessing that belonged, that Isaac was going to give to Esau. If you will come from the Christian church, I argue with a Christian the other day about Rebekah being messy because she made sure Jacob got that blessing, not even understanding or comprehending that the promise and the prophecy that was given to Rebekah is the reason why she acted on Jacob's behalf. Rebekah was fulfilling the prophecy of God that was given to her while she carried the twins by making sure that the older would serve the younger. So nothing that Rebekah did was wrong or evil, even though it required the manipulation of Isaac, even though it required putting sheepskin on on Jacob so that he could deceive his father Isaac. Rebekah knew what she was doing. You understand? And if you're not taught and raised as, not taught to understand the Bible the way it was meant to be understood, you'll feel bad for Esau. You'll feel like, man, Esau got a rough deal. He didn't get the blessing. And you'll miss that Esau sold the blessing and never respected the Lord, never respected his father, had any intentions of following in his father's footsteps, which is why Esau is who he is today. You understand? Let's keep reading. This is Genesis chapter 27, verse 38. Well, verse 39 now. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above. What does that mean? That Esau's dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and the dew of heaven from above. It means that Esau would be everywhere. You understand? Esau would be everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Meaning that Esau would be all over the earth. Wherever the earth had anything good, that's where Esau would be. And anywhere that rain touched on the earth, that's where Esau would be. And you look today around the planet Earth, Caucasians are everywhere. They are all over the fatness of the earth. Everywhere the dew of heaven touches the earth, where rain falls out of the sky, you'll find white people. They're in Africa. They're in South America. They're in Antarctica, Australia, Asia, Africa, North America, South America. You understand? They are all over the planet. Let's keep reading. Verse 40. And by thy sword shalt thou live. The promise that God gave to Esau, the blessing that was given to Esau, is that he would live by the sword. Meaning what? Being a cunning hunter, he would have a great skill of killing. And by his ability to kill, that is what was going to establish his place in the earth. That is how he was going to have an empire. That's how he was going to establish himself and to live among the other nations. He would be known as the killer of all the killers. That is the Caucasian race today. You understand? Everything that's transpiring in America right now, the reason why you're not seeing any pushback from China, any pushback from Russia, the reason why NATO is moving troops and moving soldiers, but nobody dares lay a finger on America. Why? Because they know that no one has a greater propensity for unaliving than Esau. Everybody understands? Let's keep reading. And thou shalt serve thy brother, and it shall come to pass that when thou have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. Everybody understands? So part of the prophecy that was given to Esau, part of the blessing that was given to Esau is that when his time to rule came to pass, he would break the yoke, meaning break the ties or the chain that connected him to serving his brother from off his neck. And that is America today. The white man that runs America today is completely free from any morality, from any checks, from any correction that could come from his brother Jacob, the 12 tribes of Israel, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. When you understand Esau and Jacob and the hatred and the beef that always existed between them because of Esau's disrespect and dishonor towards God and towards his father Isaac, then it makes sense why they hate blacks, Hispanics so much in this country. It makes sense why they're so cruel and evil towards the North American Indians, towards the brothers and sisters in the Caribbean, towards the people of Central and South America. To your oppressor, the so-called, the Caucasian race on the earth, the so-called white man, Esau, according to the Bible, their hatred for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians is biblical. You understand? So we understand that Esau was a cunning hunter. We understand that Esau was prophesied to live by the sword. Look at the history of America, the history of Europeans conquering North, Central, and South America. Understand the history of the genocide that was committed in order for America to be established, the slavery that was forced on blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians in order for this country to be built. The struggle that we have had for the last 400 years trying to, establish and create a space for ourselves in this nation. All of the hardship that we faced and experienced, it's recorded in the Bible. And so anybody that knows the history of the white man's dealings with blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians in this land of America would understand that the nature of these people, these oppressors, is everything that the Bible prophesied about Esau. And it was okay with all the other nations, all the cruelty and the evil that blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians experienced under these people's hand. Many nations on the earth have made deals and treaties, and they've had agreements and done international trade with America and never batted an eye at the racism and the violence and the atrocities that were committed against blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians in this land. America has been around for about 250 years as an established nation. And they've done business with the Chinese, the Japanese, the Koreans, the East Indians, the Vietnamese. Think of all the races of the earth that you have experienced or you have met in your time being Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian in America? I grew up in Washington, D.C. There was a large concentration of Ethiopians in Washington, D.C., a large concentration of Nigerians and, East Indians and Russians and Chinese and Koreans and Japanese. All of these people have borne witness to the evil and the cruelty with which America has dealt with our people. And none of them cared. There was never a petition, never an argument in the what's that thing called? Where all the countries come together. The United Nations. No one has ever pleaded the cause for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians and the evil treatment that we've suffered at the hands of white people in this country. They all made treaties and made deals and came to America and they got rich. They came to America, sent their kids to school. They became doctors and lawyers. They got jobs and everything wonderful for these other races at the expense of our bloodshed and our suffering under the hands of these white people. Well, now, in the midst of that same cruelty and evil that we've suffered under for many generations in this land, now there's a man in office as the president that is extending that cruelty to everybody else. Let me go ahead and I want to give these scriptures about the evil and the cruelty of Esau and then extend it out to what we see taking place today and show you that while it's shocking and it's amazing to see it happening to everybody else in the world, we've suffered this for 400 years and nobody gave a damn. So it's damn near justice that Donald Trump does what he's doing to the world right now. It's justice that America breaks all its treaties with NATO and these other countries. It's justice that they go out there and they take land and say, listen, man, you had a boat land here 400 years ago, but that don't mean it's your land. We're going to take this land because we want it. They've been taking Native American Indians land for 300 years in this country. Nobody said anything. Now they want to take some Norwegians' land. Everybody's supposed to the earth's supposed to stop, huh? It was okay when they was taking Native Indians' land, when they took Mexico, when they took California and Arizona and New Mexico from the Mexicans. Nobody in the world gave a damn. Nobody on the planet Earth said anything when America annexed all of the southwest of USA from Mexico. They took California. Nobody said nothing. It was okay. But now they want to take Greenland. Now we're supposed to feel bad for Denmark. We're supposed to feel bad for the Norwegians. Now they come and say, we want Canada. The earth's supposed to stop because now the atrocities and the cruelty of America is being extended to other white people. Nah, damn that. Donald Trump and his cabinet is doing exactly what white people have always done. They are doing what Esau has always done, which is be a serial murderer and a serial land thief unapologetically. And for anybody to be surprised or to bat an eye now, shame on you. Shame on the world for taking a stance against Donald Trump and America's, desire to gobble up the earth when you said nothing while it was happening to Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians in this country called America. Let me get back to the scriptures. I got to focus myself because I could just talk all day about the evil of the white man. All right, but let's get here we go. Let's get Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 12. Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 12. All right. Habakkuk 2 and 12 says, woe to him that builds a town by blood and establishes a city by iniquity. Habakkuk prophesied destruction. You understand? to him that builds a town with blood and establish a city by iniquity. Let me ask y'all, man, how was America established? Was America brought together as a nation through diplomacy? When Europeans came to North America, South America, the Caribbean, and they encountered Native Indians, were they peaceful with them? Were they lovable towards them? Did they join together in the spirit of brotherhood and work hand in hand to build a society and a new, world, a new way of living on the earth? Nah, man. Nah. America was established by blood, by Esau using the gift of his blessing with the sword to unalive and to be cruel on the earth. That is how America was established. America was built by Europeans bringing their diseases to this land, putting it in blankets, and then giving it to the Native Indians to cover themselves in the winter so that they would contract those diseases and die by the hundreds of thousands. And God said the place that was established by blood, the city that was built by iniquity, it would be destroyed. Woe to them. You understand? Now those woes are beginning to come to all those nations that partook in the establishment of colonies on the backs of unaliving hundreds of thousands and millions of people on the planet. Everybody understands? All right, let's drop that. Let me get let's get Ezekiel chapter 35. Let's get Ezekiel 35 and 5. These are scriptures right now that pertain to Esau and his hatred of Jacob. You understand? And what God said he was going to do because of their evil and their hatred for Jacob. All right. Let's get Ezekiel 35 and 2. Ezekiel 35 and 2. I'll just read that whole thing down. All right. There's a lot I could read the whole Ezekiel 35, but we just, for time's sake, we're going to read from verse 2 down to 6, all right? This is Ezekiel chapter 35, verse 2. It says, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir and prophesy against it. What is Mount Seir? That is the homeland of Esau, the homeland of the Caucasians on this planet. Where is their homeland? Their homeland is in a mountainous cave region out there in the Middle East, and it was called Seir at this time. Mount Seir in modern day, what's the name of the city of Mount Seir? Petra, I believe it is. Let's see what Petra gets us. Petra. Petra Caves. Is that okay? Boom. Boom. Hold on, bear with me, y'all. Okay, this is the so boom. Mount Seir is the homeland of Esau. Today, Mount Seir is known as Petra. You go Google Petra, ancient Petra, you'll see it as a city that is carved out of the side of a mountain. So these were cave-dwelling people. That's Esau in the Bible. They were the cave dwellers. Troglodytes is an old school Israel ISPK word for white people. Troglodytes. Go look up the definition of the word troglodyte. That is a Caucasian. That's the what they call it, the scholar term. It's not the scholarly term, but that's the scientific name. You know how they say humans are Homo sapiens, and they Homo erectus and Neanderthals. Well, the name for white people in science terms is troglodyte. Guess what? According to the Bible, Esau was a troglodyte. The name Caucasian refers to a people that came from a mountainous region in Europe called the Caucasus Mountains. Before they were in the Caucasus Mountains, they were in the Petra Mountains of the Jordan region over there in Israel. That is Mount Seir in the Bible. All right, so let's go back to Ezekiel 35. Ezekiel 35:2. Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir and prophesy against it. This is a prophecy against America. This is God thousands of years ago telling America about the way that it was going to suffer and be destroyed. All right. It said, verse 3, and say unto it, thus saith the Lord God, behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord. Why is the Most High going to destroy Esau? Why is he going to destroy Mount Seir waste and make it most desolate? You go look up Petra again. Right now, nobody's living over there. Nobody living in Mount Seir. God prophesied he would destroy Esau. He would destroy Mount Seir. And you go today, it's ruins. It's caves that are relics of a time past. Even though the cities are still there, even though the caves are still there, nobody lives there because God did what he said he was going to do. And the same is going to happen to Esau everywhere he has strongholds on the earth today. It's going to happen in Britain. It's going to happen in Ireland and Scotland. It's going to happen in Greenland and Canada and North America. Everywhere where Edomites have solidified themselves, the Lord is going to destroy them, lay their cities waste, and make them most desolate. Everybody understands. This is Ezekiel 35:5. Let's find out why God is going to do all these things. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. You understand? Esau came for us at the time when we were the most vulnerable. At the time when God was punishing us for our sins and our evil against him. That is when Esau came and took power. That's when Esau came and took control. You want to know how America conquered the how Europeans conquered the Western Hemisphere? It's because the time when God decided to punish his children for disobeying him, Esau came to conquer. He used his skill as a cunning hunter, got to know us and understand our weaknesses and our strengths, understood our culture and our way of life, understood the way that we thought and how we perceived the world, and he used it to subdue us, used it to hunt us, used it to enslave us and commit genocide against us, which is what they did to the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians in this Western Hemisphere. The Bible prophesied that Esau, because of his hatred of Jacob, would kill him with the force of the sword in the time that his iniquity had an end. You understand? In the time when God was fed up with Jacob's sins, that's when Esau came and killed him and took over. And that is the legacy. That is how Europe became great in the earth. That's how they colonized the earth and colonized Africa and chased us over here in this Western Hemisphere and enslaved us and committed genocide and erected a government over top of us. And it's because of the prophecies in this book. Let's keep reading. Verse 6, therefore, as I live, saith the Lord God, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. You look at the history of America. America has been at war with the earth since 1938, 37. History books will tell you about World War I. They'll tell you about World War II. Actually, hell, America's been in war since 1492. When Christopher Columbus first came to this country and encountered the Taino Indians in the island called the Dominican Republic in Haiti today. For 400 plus years, Esau has been shedding blood on this earth. I just got a book in the mail today. Man, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna go grab you. I just got a book in the mail today that chronicles all the wars and all the bloodshed and all the evil that the American empire has wrought on the earth. This book just came in this afternoon. It's called How to Hide an Empire, A History of the Greater United States. You understand? And on here, it shows the U.S. whited out. But all around, it shows the lands where they have been unaliving and committing atrocities and killing people. Swan Islands, Guam, Hawaii, Puerto Rico, Alaska, Saipan, the Bikini Atoll. You understand? The Philippines. All of these places where the American empire has stretched itself. And you don't hear about that in history books. You don't hear about just how much blood is being shed by America all over the earth. But God knows. He's kept a record. And he said, because they loved blood so much, blood would pursue them. You understand? Well, now the blood is coming for Europe. Now the bloodthirst of America is coming to the people who they once called friends, to the people who they called their allies. And now because the danger is posed towards other white people, now we have to look at the government as being deranged and out of control and unhinged. When where was this sentiment about the government being out of control and the president being unhinged and dangerous when they were unaliving blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians? Just 3 months ago, everybody was okay with Donald Trump and ICE. It wasn't until a white woman got unalived by an ICE agent that now everybody had a problem with ICE. When they were rounding up Native American Indians, nobody said anything. They shut the hell up. I mean, when they had so-called Latinos. Hell, them the Native American Indians too. They were grabbing up Venezuelans and shipping them to a goddamn concentration camp in El Salvador. Yeah, the news did a story about it. They talked about how it was bad. Some senators went down there and visited. But did they impeach the president? Nah, man, come on. Some immigrants. Just some illegals. Donald Trump went and captured the president of Venezuela. Supposed to be a sovereign nation. The earth was supposed to stop then. But you know what they said? Yeah, I mean, it's Maduro down there in South America. Who gives a damn? But now that he set his sights on Greenland, now he's punking Germany and punking Britain and punking France. Now we have to take a serious look at the powers that Donald Trump is wielding. Now we have to take a serious look at, where America stands with the rest of the world. America stands in the same place it's always stood, on top of everybody, being a bully, being a Debo. It was cool as long as they were Deboing brown and black people. Now they Deboing other white people. Now the earth got to recognize that the power of America is out of control. No. This is the nature of the power of America. This is the spirit of the power of America. It's the spirit of Esau in the Bible. You understand? So let's drop that. Let's get let's get Psalms chapter. Let's get Psalms chapter 55, verse 20. Again, this Bible has always told the truth. Your pastor just doesn't understand what's written in this book. You understand? Aside from the spirit of Esau, the Bible takes careful. The Bible does a good job at specifying the behaviors of another people that are living on the earth. You understand? And this is a group and a class that is not limited to one race, but it's more of a spirit. And what I'm talking about in the Bible is the wicked. When the Bible speaks about the wicked, the Bible speaks about evildoers. The Bible gives you there's prophecies concerning the wicked, prophecies concerning the evildoers that's on this earth. And you take the spirit of Esau and the fact that God hated Esau, and you take the spirit of the wicked and the scripture and the fact that God hates the sinner. You understand? You can put two and two together, and Esau is the wicked that you read about in the Bible. The Lord warned us a long time ago. The Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge has been teaching it since 1969. Now the earth is finding out that what we have been saying from the word of God is true. This is Psalms 55:20. It says, he has put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He has broken his covenant. You understand? That's what's taking place right now. Donald Trump is putting his hands against those that be at peace with him. He did it down there in Venezuela. Now he's doing it with Greenland. Now he's doing it with tariffs against Denmark and Norway and Sweden and France and Germany and the Netherlands. He's putting his hands against those that be at peace with him. You understand? He has broken his covenant. At one time, the Native American Indians had signed 169 treaties with the United States government. You know how many of those treaties the U.S. government honored? 0. The white man in America has never honored any contracts or any agreements. It was cool as long as it was Native Indians, though, whose agreements they were breaking. Well, guess what? Now, Donald Trump is breaking America's agreement with Europe. It's called NATO. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization. That was an agreement, a treaty signed by America and the northern and Atlantic most countries in Europe, meaning countries that had access to the Atlantic Ocean. That includes all those nations that's up north on the Arctic as well. NATO, let's pull up a map. Let's pull up a map of NATO. You understand? Let's see. Map of NATO. Put a map of NATO. Look at all the countries that belong to NATO. And then we'll go ahead and take a look at the impact that is being felt by America breaking this treaty with NATO. Now, if these other nations had studied America, looked at what America did to the Native Indians, they would have long ago seen that America doesn't keep they treaties. America doesn't honor a treaty. America doesn't honor an agreement. They never honored an agreement. They never honored agreements that they made with the North American Indians. What made them think that they would honor the agreements with NATO? This is NATO. Right there on the screen. It's the United States. It's Canada. It's Iceland. It's the United Kingdom, Spain, Portugal, Morocco, France, Germany, Italy, Poland. Let me see what they got. Romania, Turkey. Who else is on there? Hungary, Finland, Sweden, Norway. All these countries have an agreement with America that we'll protect one another, we'll defend one another, we won't, cross each other's space. We won't get on each other's territory. There's no honor amongst thieves. There's no honor amongst murderers. There's no honor amongst, colonizers. Same way America broke all the treaties they made with the North American Indians, now America is breaking a treaty it made with Europe. And it's not a surprise to those of us who know the nature of America, that know that the spirit of America is the spirit of Esau made manifest in the earth. Those of us who know that the cruelty of Esau in rejecting the laws of God is the cruelty of America in rejecting the laws of God. You understand? The earth didn't have a problem when America was breaking treaties it signed with the North American Indians. But now that America is breaking the treaties it signed with other white nations, everybody's supposed to be in an uproar. Damn that. America is what it always has been, and America is going to be what it always has been. Let's continue on. Let's get Psalms 55 and 21 now. It says, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet they were drawn swords. Donald Trump just put out a press release yesterday to the Prime Minister of Norway. Donald Trump said, man, I wanted that Nobel Peace Prize, man. I stopped like 8 wars, but y'all ain't want to give it to me. So you know what? I'm not really inclined to be peaceful no more. Y'all didn't respect me being kind and nice. So now I got to be the other guy. Now I got to be evil and conquering and threatening war and murder. It's such an evil bastard. Like Donald Trump is Esau in the flesh. You want to know what Esau was like? Look at Donald Trump. You read the Bible and you wonder, man, what kind of man would sell his birthright for a morsel of red stew? It's Donald Trump. What kind of man would sell his birthright and then come crying to his father about a blessing and hate his brother for getting the blessing, even though he sold him the birthright? Donald Trump. What kind of a man would know that he was the chosen of God, but yet choose to live lawlessly and do whatever the hell he wanted to do? Damn what God said. Donald Trump. That's the spirit of Esau. That's the spirit of America. You understand? The words of his mouth were smoother than but war was in his heart. They talk smooth. Listen, man, we got to protect Greenland for the national security. We got to protect Greenland from China and Russia, man. We don't want it to fall into the wrong hands. So y'all got to go ahead and give it up to us. Imagine that. I need y'all to understand the level of bullying that is on display in the world right now. America is looking on the map. They saw Venezuela has the number 1 oil reserves of all the nations on the planet. And they don't want Russia and China to go doing business and doing deals with the Venezuelans. They don't want Russia and China to come set up infrastructure and, help build the cities and bring prosperity to the country. So because America doesn't want China and Russia getting a stronghold in the Western Hemisphere, does America go down there and say, hey, Venezuela, we'll make a better deal with you, man. Hey, man, we'll give you a better price for the oil than what Russia and China is trying to give you. Nah, man. That's not how they do business. Rather than trying to give you a better deal for the oil and the precious resources you have, Esau's way is to just come unalive you, capture your leader, and then threaten everybody else with death and terror. And say, listen, man, hand us over what we want, or, everybody got to die. You ain't got to die. I mean, we could just be friends, man. We could just be diplomatic. But I get to rape everything that you have and take all of your belongings, and you just stand there and watch and don't say nothing. Like, the earth knows the history of America. That's what they did to blacks. That's what they did to Hispanics and Native Indians. And nobody said a word. Nobody batted an eye. But now that the threat is coming to the rest of the world, it's horrible and it's evil and it's out of control. America has been horrible. America has been evil. America has been out of control. And nobody on the planet gave a damn, because the people who were suffering the most was God's people, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. America's talked about peace and prosperity and integration and America being a melting pot and hand joining in hand, the whole time they kept their foot on the neck of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Kept us as a second-class citizen, you understand? Attacked our communities and our families, flooded drugs in our community, and instituted a slavery mandate. You understand? Which is what the war on drugs was. It was a re-enslavement mandate to come and get thousands or hundreds of thousands of black Hispanic men and throw them in prisons. And it's worked. Nobody else on the planet said anything while it happened to us. Now that their sights have been turned on everybody else, the earth is, in awe, in shock. We're not. You understand? His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. That's Donald Trump. That's his messages, the messages he sent to the Prime Minister of Norway. That's the speeches he's given every day about how much they need Greenland. You want to know why Donald Trump wants Greenland? Because under all that snow and all that ice in Greenland is some of the greatest rare earth metal deposits on the planet. And these rare earth metals is, they all the things that's necessary for computer chips and programming and AI now. And the problem that America has is that China right now is the lead of all the nations in developing these technologies and processing these metals. And the white man is definitely afraid of not being number one on not having control, because in his mind, once he doesn't have control, he'll be dealt with the way he dealt with everybody else. And America knows how much of a monster and a bully they've been. America knows the day of reckoning is coming. America knows that the second they let up off these other nations are going to get revenge. And so the prospect of China and Russia and the Arabs and the East Indians getting their revenge is what scares the white man to death. And he will not allow for these other nations to get vengeance on him while he has a say-so. That's why you see all this stuff taking place and transpiring in the earth. Once again, since 1969, we've been telling you the truth about the white man. Been prophesying about the spirit of America and who was ruling and what was to come. Everybody thought we was crazy. Everybody thought that we just, on the corner yelling for no reason. They thought we didn't know the Bible. They thought we was illiterate. They thought we was, some prison cats. Now they starting to see. Now they starting to realize, nah, man, them niggas knew what they was talking about. I watched Captain Cesario do a debate with a cat last week. They hate that we know what we talking about. They hate that we know the Bible the way that we do. They hate that they cannot dispute anything that we're saying. And that's why these white people that debate Captain Cesario, they choose their debates very, very well. They'll debate Captain Cesario on, is Jesus God? You know what they won't debate? Who was Esau? They won't debate that. You know what they won't debate? Who are the lost 12 tribes of the nation of Israel? Nobody will debate that with us. You understand? You know what they won't debate? Who's the father of the Arabs? They won't debate that because they know that we have all those answers. They know that we've cornered the market on all biblical knowledge and understanding. But they want to use their Christianity to try and, try and muddy the waters a little bit. Nah, but the Lord then gave us the knowledge to crush them there too. So now, at the same time that the white man's spirit is being revealed on the earth as Esau, and his conquering and his bloodlust and his thirst is starting to be shown to everyone, what's also beginning to be shown is that these people that y'all call crazy on these corners actually know what they're talking about. They actually telling the truth. They actually know what the Bible is saying. And it's an amazing thing to behold. Everybody understands. Let's get hold up. Let's get Job chapter 24. And again, this is these scriptures I went over in a breakdown maybe a week or two ago. But okay, I would love to sit here and teach a class about, you know, I would love to teach a class on the color scriptures. I would love to sit down and do a John 3:16 breakdown, right? I would love to sit here and do the Most High is a racist. I would love to sit here and do a brotherhood breakdown. But with all the things that's transpiring in the earth, the Lord wants it to be known that the white man is the devil the Bible speaks of. God wants an answer to all the things that's happening in the earth. That's why I teach these classes. That's why I choose these topics. That's why I break down the scriptures that I break down. It's for you to really be able to understand and comprehend that these things that are happening in the earth, God said they would happen in the Bible. And God described the people that would be behind the actions of these things in the Bible. And in those descriptions and in that understanding and those prophecies, the Most High identified the white man. He identified the Arab, identified the Japanese and the Chinese. He identified the African. He identified the East Indian. All these nations have been known and revealed to us by the Most High in the Bible thousands of years ago. And now everything that God said about these people and how they would be living on the earth is being seen by everybody. And you're only going to get that breakdown in the ISUPK. You're only going to get that understanding here. You understand? This is Job chapter 24 and verse 2. Get Job chapter 24, verse 2. It says, some remove the landmarks. They violently take away flocks and feed thereof. You understand? Some remove landmarks. The Denmark has had their landmark in Norway for over 300 years, 500 years. Donald Trump said, nah, man. I don't care about that. Green looking real nice, baby. We want green. We're going to take it. Same thing they did to America in America. At one point, Manhattan was the land of the Native Indians, the Algonquins, I believe. Algonquin Indians was all over Manhattan, New York City, all over those 5 boroughs. White people said, man, it's a nice piece of land right here by all this water, all these little peninsulas, man, and there's outlets to the Atlantic Ocean. You know what, man? We like this land. I think we can go ahead and kill all of y'all and take it. Then in history books, they tell you that they bought Manhattan for 5 cents or some bullshit. Some crazy story about some white man buying Manhattan. Hey, you going to buy a goddamn island? The white man is the devil the Bible speaks of. Well, the same way they told you they bought Manhattan, they gonna buy Greenland. History tell you that in the Louisiana Purchase, Napoleon sold, all the land in the Midwest, Chicago, the state of Illinois, the state of Minneapolis, or the state of Minnesota, the state of Idaho, Wyoming. Again, all of these are Native Indian names. They all Native Indian names, right? Minnesota, Illinois, Ohio, Arkansas, Kansas. We know Texas is Mexican. It's a Spanish word. Texas. God damn, give me some more Indianapolis, right? All of these cities in the Midwest, we're told, was sold to America in the Louisiana Purchase. Did the Native Indians have any say about this land being sold? This land that France supposedly gave to America, were the people living in these lands privy to this deal? Or did America just say, hey, France, bro, listen, B, y'all getting killed by them Indians. Y'all ain't going to be able to hold it down, B. You know, we could just join the Indians and kill y'all, or y'all could just go ahead and let us have the land. France is like, all right, B, go ahead, boom. Y'all can have it for $35. America has always removed landmarks. That's the spirit of the white man. Think about all the wars across the world. The Korean War, the Vietnam War. All of those wars was white people exerting their strength and their power and their ability to kill and unalive to the earth. And why should it stop with Europe? Why should it stop now? Now that it's Europe, now that it's Norway, now that it's Greenland, now that it's Great Britain and France and Germany that's being threatened. You understand? Donald Trump, again, the tariffs is Donald Trump cutting off the other nations from being able to make money off of black people, from being able to make money off of, all the consumers here. So he's making the rest of the world poor and broke. Now it's all these tariffs are horrible. Look at what Donald Trump is doing to the economies of China and Britain and Norway. Nobody said nothing when he was making blacks and Hispanics broke. These other nations that's crying now about these tariffs, they wouldn't. And listen, understand this: prices are rising in America. The tariffs, the brunt of the tariffs is felt by Americans that have to go to the store and have to buy these products. But there is a lot of pain that these companies across the earth have that their goods can't be sold in America no more. Nobody else has money to buy shit. You want to know why China sends all their shit to America? Because nobody got no money to buy Chinese shit everywhere else. Do you think Indian children play with Barbie dolls? Huh? Do you think Filipino children play with, Pokemon cards? Do you think in the villages of the Congo and in Nigeria and in, in Kenya, are they buying fidget spinners and goddamn scooters and bicycles? Nah. The bullshit that all these other nations make, nobody else is buying that shit. The East Indians have $1 billion hair industry where they sell America wigs and weaves and shit. If America put a tariff on India, where they gonna sell those wigs and weaves and shit? Can the Indians go to China and be like, yo, we got these weaves for y'all. We got these Brazilian wavies, the number 7, light brown, and no, there's no market for that shit nowhere else. Do you think you could go buy pho in Costa Rica, in Mexico? Do you think there's a pho restaurant in Mexico? Ain't no fucking pho restaurant in Mexico, because nobody in Mexico got no money for that bullshit. The earth gets rich selling its goods to America. So when Donald Trump says, I'm going to put a tariff against your country, he's saying, I'm going to make y'all broke. Y'all don't want to fuck with me, I'm going to make you poor. Guess what? America has been making black and Hispanic people poor for hundreds of years. Nobody gave a damn. Now we supposed to feel bad that they doing it to everybody else? Nah, man, fuck that. Everybody else deserved to starve too. Blacks and Hispanics starved in this country for hundreds of years. None of you gave a damn. America used all of its clandestine tactics and all of its bullying and all of its horrible evil to destroy our communities and our neighborhoods. Now they're doing it to the rest of the world. Y'all want us to feel bad? Nobody feel bad for y'all. You're getting exactly what you deserve. And it's biblical prophecy coming to pass. It's the Bible being fulfilled. The Bible said that all of the kings of the earth that waxed rich through the abundance of the delicacies of the great whore would cry when that whore got destroyed. And guess what? All of the countries that didn't get waxing rich from America, they're all crying right now. while America is being destroyed. And the poetic justice of it is America is being destroyed by the same policies that it used to erect itself. The same thing that made America great is going to be the reason why America is destroyed. And it's white people's cruelty and wickedness and refusal to understand their place in the earth. It's such a righteous thing. It's so righteous that God destroys America for being what it was when it was established. That's all that's happening. The Lord is rewarding Esau for being Esau. You understand? Let's drop that. We got Job chapter 2, verse 24, verse 2. We got Job 24 and 2. Let's get Psalm chapter 10, man. Let's get Psalm chapter 10. Let me see. Hold up. Now let's drop it. Let's not get Psalm chapter 10. Let's get Jeremiah 51. I think it's a chapter where all of the nations turn themselves against Babylon. Yeah, there we go. Hold on. Here we go. It's Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 7. This is Jeremiah 51 and 7. And this is the Lord talking about the destruction of Babylon, the destruction of America. All right. And this is how it is going to come to pass. This is Jeremiah 51. We are starting at verse 7. We're going to read on down to verse 13. All right. Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 7 says, Babylon has been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. You understand? What is the wine of America? The wine of America was his propaganda. The wine of America was all of his lies about prosperity and democracy and capitalism and everybody being able to, have a chance and to be free and to have liberty and the pursuit of happiness. All the lies that America has pushed, that is the wine that all the earth got drunk with. You understand? Verse 8, Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her. Take balm for her pain. If so be, she may be healed. You understand? What does it mean that Babylon is destroyed? The thing that got everybody drunk is now being exposed. Everybody sees now that this is just a bunch of bullshit. America's capitalism is bullshit. America's democracy is bullshit. America's checks and balances of government is bullshit. America's free market is bullshit. All of it is just lies. Bribery and who can gobble up the most earth is what America has always been about. They're looking at Donald Trump and what he's doing with his cabinet positions and these people in power like, oh, Donald Trump is horrible and evil. Joe Biden did the same goddamn thing. They're looking at Donald Trump pardoning criminals. Joe Biden did the same goddamn thing. On Joe Biden's last day in office, he pardoned all types of criminals and horrible motherfuckers that did fraud and a bunch of other abusive, bad stuff. All the people Obama appointed to cabinet positions when he got elected president were all people that worked in the Federal Reserve and in the banking system. They were the same ones that paid into his campaign, which is why when Barack Obama got elected, Barack Obama did favors for all the bankers. The LGBTQ and all the pro-Israel stuff that happened under Obama's watch, all of that was him pandering to the people that paid for his election. Every president in American history has done deals and favors for their buddies, passed laws and That's the whole point of a presidential pardon. It's for him to be able to help his buddies out. You don't get to be president without taking money. You don't get to be president without making promises. You don't get to be president without going and making war. You know how many wars Barack Obama made around the earth? You know how much territory America gobbled up and conquered under Barack Obama? You think what Donald Trump is doing is unusual, is special, is this is especially evil? Nah, it's what America's always done. Donald Trump wants the Nobel Peace Prize because he's not out there killing and conquering like Barack Obama and Joe Biden and Bush before him. Donald Trump, in his mind, deserves the Nobel Peace Prize because when Israel bombed Iran, I could have let Israel invade, man. I talked Netanyahu down, man. I said, listen, Nettie, just chill, bro. We'll go ahead and drop some bombs on their nuclear facility, but we ain't got to do the all-out war junk right now. Just chill. Donald Trump want a pat on the back. Because Barack Obama might went in there and killed the damn leader of Iran and put a new government in place. Donald Trump saw what was happening with Venezuela and China and Russia. Donald Trump and them put blocks in the ocean. They bombed them little mini boats, killed them Hispanics. Nobody tripped. Donald Trump is like, yo, y'all should give me the Nobel Peace Prize because I could have dropped bombs on the Chinese ship. We could have raided a Russian vessel, which they just did a little while ago after they captured Maduro. Donald Trump is like, yo, we could have blew up Russian ships. We could have blew up the boats and been at war right now. Y'all should be thanking me. And they looking at him like, now he's out of his mind. He's insane. But in his mind, I stopped 8 wars, B. 9, 10 wars could have been fought. Donald Trump gets those situation reports from the national security people, and every day he's like, oh, man, I'm stopping wars, bro. He go drop some bomb. He dropped a bomb in Nigeria, killed some Nigerians that was killing Christians. Donald Trump won the Peace Prize because I just dropped a bomb, bro. I could have sent soldiers in there. I could have laid that whole village waste. Like, y'all really should be thanking me, bro. They not thanking Donald Trump. They're not giving him what he's looking for. Donald Trump sent a letter to the Prime Minister of Norway and said, you was in control. You in control of that Peace Prize. Y'all should have honored me, bro, for the wars that I haven't been fighting. And because y'all didn't give me the Peace Prize, you know what? I don't know if I'm feeling so peaceful, man. I might be feeling like I want to go to war. Donald Trump right now is looking at Iran like, bro, y'all should thank me, bro. We had the whole, uprising in the streets. I could have pressed the button and had the special forces come take out the leader, bro. Like, I could have really flipped the country on his head like we did Libya, like we did Egypt. Y'all should be thanking me, Iran. They not thankful enough. So Donald Trump is like, man, y'all think we solved? Y'all think I'm a sucker or something? I'm taking Greenland. Fuck that. NATO, y'all gonna defend for yourself, B. I'm the biggest boss that you've seen thus far. Y'all not respecting me, so all right, no sweat. NATO, we gonna dissolve. Because this is what Trump know. What's your choice, NATO, if you don't deal with us? You gonna go deal with Russia? Russia wants to come gobble everybody right now. Trump knows that everybody back against the wall. Because either you're gonna deal with me and America, or what, you gonna go ahead and let the Chinese rule over you? You're gonna let the Chinese have control of everything? America has always been cruel and knows that the only way it can stay in power is through cruelty. And Donald Trump right now is flexing all the muscle that he got. And the rest of the world ain't got no choice but to just take it. And if they don't take it, then that means they're going to go against America, which means war, World War III, and we almost out of this place. You understand? Let's get on Jeremiah 51:7 and 9. Jeremiah 51:9. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her and let us go everyone into his own country, for her judgment reaches unto heaven and is lifted up even to the skies. There's no saving America. There's no turning back now. It's got to be destroyed. You understand? And there's everybody returning to their people right now. It's happening with ICE and immigration. Somalians in Minnesota are fleeing. They're getting on airplanes and they're going back to Somalia, taking all that money and they're getting the hell out of Dodge. And there's other nations that's leaving America too. Everybody's going back home to their own people. Verse 10, the Lord has brought forth our righteousness. Come and let us declare in Zion the work of the Lord our God. That's what we're doing right now. The righteousness of God's people is coming back. And as a result, the Lord is destroying these other nations. He's causing more havoc, more death, more destruction, more confusion, because that's the ramifications of God preparing a way for his people to get back in power. That's why I got to teach the class. That's why I got to break the scriptures down. Jeremiah 51:11. Make bright the arrows, gather the shields. The Lord has raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes for his devices against Babylon to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of the Lord, the vengeance of his temple. Who is the king of the Medes? The spirit of the kings of the Medes? Those are the kings of all those Asian countries in Middle Asia. India, Pakistan, the Middle East, the Arabs, all of those countries over there, those are the Medes. Iran is Persia in the Bible. You understand? In history, the Persian and Mede Empire was a Persian and East Indian empire. So those Arab countries over there, a lot of them, they call them all Arabs today, but a lot of them are different breeds and ethnicities that historically were called different names. So the kings of the Medes are the kings of those Middle Eastern nations, the kings of those East Indian nations, and the Lord is stirring them up against Babylon. This is Jeremiah 51:12. Set up the standard upon the walls of Babylon. Make the watch strong. Set up the watchmen. Prepare the ambushes, for the Lord hath both devised and done that which he spake against the inhabitants of Babylon. O thou that dwellest upon many waters, abundant in treasures, thine end is come, and the measure of thy covetousness. You understand? So for all of the evil dealings that America has done, for all of the taking and the conquering of other nations, for all the starving and abusing and cruelty against God's people in this land called America and beyond, the Lord is going to allow America to destroy itself. But America's destruction is going to come the same way that America was erected, by the cruelty and the wickedness of the so-called white man, who is Esau according to the Bible. There's many more that I could go into. It's a ton of scriptures. This breakdown could be 5 hours long. You understand? But understand that what you are seeing take place today in the earth and what's being, the evolving, changing story every day in the media about Donald Trump and this administration in the White House, it is everything that the Bible prophesied about Esau. It is everything that God warned us about happening at the end of days of the Babylonian Empire. And now is the time for God's people to come back to the Most High, to come back to his law, statutes, and commandments, to keep these rules that's in this Bible, to change your life, man. Because as America falls and is destroyed, God is paving the way for his kingdom to be established on the earth. And the more that we wake up and come back to the Lord, the more that we draw our spirit closer to the Most High and become the people he called us to be, the more he's going to expose these other nations for who he called them to be. And now is the time that the Lord wants you to take his word seriously. Now is the time the Lord wants you to take his salvation seriously. Now is the time the Lord wants you to take seriously becoming who he called you to be. That's why you got to tap into these classes. That's why you got to learn the truth, gather with your brothers and sisters, man. And with that, we the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge out of 1 West 125th Street in Harlem, New York. Since 1969, we've been teaching so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians the truth according to the Bible. What is the truth? The truth is that so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians descend from the greatest people that have ever walked the face of the earth. The Bible identifies us as the lost 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. And in the year 2026, there's nothing more important if a God's chosen people to learn the truth of who we are, where we come from, and what our purpose is on the earth. For all you brothers and sisters tuning in, if you got family, loved ones, people you care about in the Memphis, Tennessee, and surrounding areas, get them in contact with the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. And with that, I'll see y'all for class tomorrow. Shalom, Israel.